what we need to focus on. Shifting your focus off of content. Content meaning how you are sharing your idea on social media. Content is the post. It is the carousel. It is the reel. It is the IG live. It is your stories. It is also, I like to look at content as two different things. It's like how you're presenting it, and then the hacks that can help it perform better. And that's where a lot of coaches focus their time, energy, and effort in teachings on is the hacks, the trending audios. It is the caption format for you. Here's the hookiest hook you'll ever see and how you're going to get people to buy from you. It's the CTA, right? Performance metrics. But there's a lot of shit that happens between your hook that gets them activated, that gets them reading your post and the CTA. There's a lot of messaging that happens in between that is actually the key to your audience following through on that CTA. Hello, you gorgeous human being, you, and welcome back to another episode of The Rebels by Nature. And today we are getting into the 7 deadly sins of content creation. And we are going to deep dive into common mistakes that you are probably, maybe making on Instagram through your content that is blocking you from having dream clients slide into your DMs, say, oh my God, you're exactly who I'm looking for. How can I work with you? Okay. So here, there is no more. Forgive me, algorithm, for I have sinned. I'm going to talk to you about what's keeping you from converting your audience consistently through all of the content that you are creating. Okay. So first things first, let's go through what the 7 deadly sins of content creation are: sloth, envy, resentment, lust, gluttony. I think it's gluttony. If I'm saying that wrong, please let me know. Perfectionism and greed. Okay. And before we get into all this, what I have coming up starting on October 29th is my free 3-day challenge, which is exactly this: the 7 deadly sins to content creation, so that you can not only know what are the mistakes that you are making that's keeping you converting your clients easily and effortlessly through social media. So if that's you, I want you to pause this, head to the show notes, and register for that, because you are not going to want to miss it. I promise you that. I promise you me. However that goes. Anyway, so starting off with our first deadly sin, okay? And this is the sloth, aka inconsistent posting. So what this will look like when this is showing up inside of your business is that you're maybe posting sporadically with content creation. You maybe show up once in a while, you feel motivated once in a while, and then you disappear for a little bit, or you show up on your feed consistently, but not on your stories, or vice versa. And it kind of just makes it really hard to build trust with your audience when the consistency isn't there. Okay. So what this will look like for you and how you're knowing, like, yo, sinning bitch, I am a sinner, right? Is maybe you feel like you're somebody who posts 3 times one week and then you disappear for the next week. Then you come back and you're all fired up and you're ready to go. Or you're somebody who you don't really have a content schedule in place and you're more in your lean back feminine energy, waiting for when inspiration to post hits. And so that's what happens. You post when you have an idea and you post when you feel like it or when you're inspired. Okay. The one thing that I can tell you about growing my business, being able to go into it full time, say bye-bye to the corporate world and sign clients consistently through social media, is you're never always going to be inspired and motivated. And what will build your business quicker more than anything else is learning to be disciplined. Okay. So why this often happens for you, why you feel like this might be something that you struggle with, it is because there's probably a couple of things here. Is you, number one, you probably don't know your dream client as well as you do, or you don't know what it is that you need to know about them, where you never question what they need to hear from you. Okay. The other way that this can show up is that you don't have, or you lack a clear strategy on what it actually is that you need to post. Again, that's why it feels like you wait a lot on inspiration or for ideas to strike you, and why you may feel like, okay, you were on fire for a handful of weeks to feeling like you ghost your audience the next week, and you really just want to find a consistent rhythm to posting. Okay. Here's why. So this sin right here, this is why on day 1 of the challenge, we're focusing on the 3 things. 1, 2, 3. Truthfully, there are only 3 things that you ever need to know about your dream client to, number 1, never run out of ideas or not know what they need to hear from you again. In fact, on day 1 of this challenge, I'm going to show you how you can take one of these 3 things that you need to know about them and turn them into 9 different content ideas. Like, really, it's not about learning how you can say 7 different things and generating more ideas, but it's just learning how you can consistently say the same thing over and over and over again, because your messaging at the end of the day needs to be clear, concise, and consistent. Also, keep your eyes peeled, your ears open for a podcast episode dropping on, I think it's November 6th or 13th, where I'm talking about that right there. Okay. Are you sinners ready for the next one? So, sin number 2. Envy, or what I like to call good old comparison syndrome, which none of us needs, wants, desires, nor want. So, comparison syndrome, obviously, I have fallen into this trap more times than I like to admit. And this is where we start to, truthfully, it happens unintentionally. I know that. Where you obsess about what other coaches are doing, what's working for them, what's going viral, what's taking off, what's trending, and you start to really see, okay, well, like, oh, well, that's working for them, so I'm going to try it too. And lots of times what we end up doing is we end up creating from a space where we're not energetically in alignment, where it feels out of our comfort zone. And I just want to say there's a difference between something that is challenging and resisting because it's what you know you're meant to do, but you're just holding yourself back from taking the action, versus showing up in a way that feels like, I don't want to say an imposter, but almost where you feel like a fraud. Like, a perfect example is, like, I know this is not so much anymore, but I'm pretty sure it was 2020, 2021, where there was all those videos taking off of people like doing dances and stuff. And you're like out there sitting trying to learn some kind of choreographed fucking routine for God knows how long, when you could have actually been writing messaging that's going to actually get you to convert, right? So it's just understanding, okay, what are ways in which you are creating content that don't energetically feel aligned with you, okay? And lots of times too, what we end up doing is when we see how a coach is addressing their audience, when we see a framework or a format that they're using, we start to lose our authentic voice by trying to be somebody else. And I think I did a podcast episode about this, or maybe it was in a post actually, where I said there's a fine line between inspiration and impersonation. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. We're gonna do it. Rebels by nature, we say the thing that most people don't. The live event that I was supposed to go to at the end of, was it September? Yeah, it was at the end of September. There are a lot of coaches in that coach's vicinity that work with her. And also, please, this is not me throwing shade. I know that's what it's going to sound like. But what I'm just trying to say is, again, impersonation versus inspiration. There are a lot of women who are in this women's space where they're all kind of starting to sound like the same version of each other. There's very specific words that this one coach uses that I can automatically tell other people are working with her or the coaches under her by using the same language, okay? That's just my 2 cents there. So with this, what this might look like for you is where you're somebody who finds it hard to separate yourself from other coaches and what they're doing. And when you get on Instagram to maybe go and get inspired or get ideas, it can easily end up in you doom scrolling and leads to procrastination and not knowing what to post because it feels like what it is that you have to say is already being said, or that you feel like your stuff isn't good enough, okay? And this is often where you watch what other coaches are doing and feel inadequate. And so it makes you feel like, oh, well, because it's working for them, because they're making this much money, because they're doing this, that, and the other thing, whatever result they have that you don't yet have, you start to think, oh, well, because I don't have that yet because I'm not doing this. I'm not showing up with audacity. I'm not creating a movement. I'm not creating authority content or activating. You're like, I don't give a fuck what it is. Whatever it is that you're telling yourself that you're not yet doing, okay? It works for that other person because it is authentic. It was birthed and it was created from them. Again, remember, inspiration versus impersonation. There we go. I was going to say implementation. I was like, no, you want to be inspired, but then you want to go implement in your own way, okay? What this will also look like for you, this envy, is when you're second guessing what makes you unique. When you see somebody else who feels like they're doing it better than you can, right? It's often where it feels like, oh, well, they're already saying exactly what it is that I want to say, the way that I want to say it, and why can't I feel like why can't I make my messaging that clear? Okay. The other thing it could be showing up for you is where you hear all the time that you need to know what makes you as a coach and your offers unique. But if I were to ask you what that is right now, you often feel like your mind just goes blank. You're like, yeah, about that. I don't really know. Okay. If you don't know, honey, your audience is not going to know for them. It is not their job to fill in the blanks. It is your job to make that so evident and crystal clear for them. Okay. The other way that envy shows up, this comparison, is where you don't know why someone would pick you over another coach. And the reason why this ends up happening is because one of two things most of the time. And just for like time on the podcast's sake, there are more reasons and ways than how this shows up. We're just making them clear and concise today. So the first one is that you probably aren't connected enough to your own message or your own story, which is why it can feel like somebody's other way is better for you than your own, because you don't know what that is for you, how to articulate it, or how you're meant to do that. The other thing is you probably haven't embraced or understood what's your own unique selling proposition. And so this is where you look for outside validation to see what framework, what process, what method, what system is working for somebody else rather than trying to find your own. And so what we really need to do here, and this is again what we focus on day one inside the 7 Deadly Sins of Content Creation Challenge, is you really need to understand what it is that you want to be known for and what it is that you stand for, because your story is your power, and it's in your story that you're going to find the answer to those two answers, those two questions. There we go. Okay. Sin number 3, we have resentment, aka when you're feeling burnt out. So what this is going to look like for you is when it feels like you're putting so much goddamn time, energy, and effort into social media, into posting, into showing up consistently, and you feel like you're getting no ROI from the platform. You're not signing clients as consistently as you would like to. What this could look like is maybe you're posting every single day. And when I say every single day, I say weekday. Okay. You're posting 4 to 5 times per week, and you will go weeks, if not months, without a sale. This is where you go and say spots open, and you have 6 spots that you want to fill for your one-to-one coaching, your new mini mind mastermind program, whatever it may be. And you end up getting 1 or 2 people into it. And while you're super grateful for those 2 people, you can't help but like your mind is so over obsessing over, well, there's still 4 more spots, right? This is where, again, you're told to be consistent posting, and that's what you're doing. Again, 5 times per week, like motherfucking clockwork. But when you do get to those weeks without a sale, or weeks of just having other coaches slide into your DMs trying to pivot you, you're like, no. I did not ask for this. I see what you're doing here. And also, why the fuck am I attracting you? We don't want that, right? But when you do that and you are so consistent, and again, not seeing that ROI, you start to think like, okay, what's the point in me showing up as consistently as I am when it's not resulting in me getting the clients that I deserve and that I desire, right? Flip those two around, that you desire and that you deserve. And so slowly, maybe this is where your consistency starts to slip. Maybe instead of posting 5 times per week, you start posting 4 or 3. Or maybe instead of, it starts to feel really forced showing up on your stories, because you're like, I don't know what to say because what I'm saying is not working. The dream clients, I'm not attracting them. Like, SOS, help. Okay. And so why this sin, this problem, this mistake often ends up happening is because you straight up, I'm just going to say it like it is, girl, child, honey, you do not have a content strategy. Hear me when I say this, please. How many times you post per week is not a content strategy, okay? The other reason why this happens is it might be that your content strategy is focused around either pillars. So you're kind of like, I can't even explain what pillars are because like they just give me the ick. They give me hives immediately. But this could be like, you want to be known for like lifestyle content, being a corporate baddie, and how you fitted your workouts, and I don't know, like life's like it's themes for which you fit your content in. Or the other thing is you're focused on your content strategy or revolves around the types of content that you're creating week in with week out. So what that could be is maybe you're focused on, okay, did I do a relatable post this week? Did I do a client testimonial or my own story? Did I do a value-based post? I did one that activated my audience, right? And again, like fitting your content into a box, into a pillar, or into a theme is where your content goes to die. So do your conversions, okay? So what needs to change here is that, again, it's like I said, and I'm pretty sure I say this later as well too. Content is how you captivate your audience's attention, and how you convert them is through your messaging. If you're not sure what I mean by that, go and listen to last week's podcast. I was going to say last week's post. Go and listen to last week's podcast because there's where I talk about like the art of effective messaging, aka how to actually turn your content into sales and cash. Okay. So what needs to happen here for resentment is, again, you need a content strategy, and the whole foundation for which your content strategy is created is you need to understand your buyer's journey, and you need to understand how to write messaging that speaks to your buyer's journey, because this is what will allow you to create a consistent funnel of leads from your content, where each piece of content moves your audience forward. When I say moves your audience forward, you want to think of it like a funnel as well too. Funnel you, top of funnel, they find you, they follow you, they buy from you, okay? Sin number 4, moving right along here, is a lust, my darling. And this is where you start chasing vanity metrics, and you are using your metrics to validate how well or not well you're doing, okay? What I mean by this is that you're focusing on likes, follows, saves, and shares. And if they're doing really, really well, or the amount of views that your reels are getting, right? And if they're doing well, you're feeling fucking ecstatic. You're like, yes, queen, let's go. People love me. They love my content. This feels great. Give me more views. Yes, please. Right? It's like that dopamine hit you get when you get out of the 500 views jail and your reel sees over 1,000 views. You're like, should I go and buy a lottery ticket? Because like, I feel like I'm a lucky bitch right now, right? Like, hi, we've all been there. We can attest to this. But the truth is, more followers, more engagement, more views, more saves and shares does not always equate to sales. I can tell you this because I left an account at the end of 2021 with over 20,000. It had over 20,000 followers at that time. My current account right now, where I'm sitting at, I don't even think I have 2,200 followers, and I make 6 figures from this account. This was the account, once I shifted to this one, moved to this one, where I went into my business full time, right? If you cannot convert the audience you have now, you will not convert the one that you grow. And also, likes, follows, shares, just because those are bumping does not mean sales. Sales equals sales. And so I really want you to focus on what is going to make the biggest difference there. Messaging. Okay. This is where I wrote this note down for me here. This is where we need to focus on, again, shifting your focus off of content. Content meaning content a lot of the times is focused around how you are sharing your idea on social media. Content is the post. It is the carousel. It is the reel. It is the IG live. It is your stories. It is also, I like to look at content as two different things. It's like how you're presenting it, and then the hacks that can help it perform better. Okay. And that's where a lot of coaches focus their time, energy, and effort in teachings on is the hacks. It is, okay, it's the trending audios. It is the, well, here's the caption format for you. Here's the hookiest hook you'll ever see and how you're going to get people to buy from you. It's the CTA, right? Performance metrics. But if between, there's a lot of shit that happens between, and I don't mean shit in a bad way, between your hook that gets them activated, that gets them reading your post in the CTA, there's a lot of messaging that happens in between that is actually the key to your audience following through on that CTA. Click the link in my bio, book a call with me today, DM me this word if you want to buy, right? Fucking 2 sentences of your messaging is dedicated to, okay, maybe that's a little bit small. I'll be generous and give you 5. 5 sentences in your messaging, the hook and your CTA, that's the real estate of your content. The rest is messaging, and that is where you're going to convert. Okay. So here again, like I said, you need to understand and shift the focus from not focusing so much on your content, but what is your messaging? Your content is how you captivate your audience's attention, and your messaging is how you convert them. Okay. This is the sole focus on day 2 inside the 7 deadly sins challenge, is starting to understand, okay, like what is that actual buyer's journey, and how you can start to make your messaging clear, concise, and consistent. And when I mean consistent here, I don't mean posting consistently. You're already doing that. You've been doing it for years. Your audience needs to hear consistent messaging from you. And the other way that we kind of fuck this one up is you overcomplicate the hell out of your content by trying to say 27 million different things that you do instead of just saying the same thing over and over and over again in slightly different ways. Okay. Sin number 5 is gluttony. Gluten. Nope, that's wrong. Gluttony. As I say that, I sound so confident, and I bet you it's wrong. Whoopsies. Okay, this is where I like to say you get sucked into doom scrolling. We've all been there. I get it, right? And so what ends up happening here is, again, you get sucked into scrolling for, like, I haven't done this in a hot minute, so can't remember the last time I've done this, but I could not imagine scrolling on social media for hours and hours on end. And what ends up happening is when you consume way too much content from other people, you start to lose, again, you lose your voice, you lose your own authentic creativity, ideas, inspiration. And this is lots of times where content can start to feel really overwhelming, and almost like you have decision fatigue when it comes to create your own content, because you've been scrolling so much that your head is just full of what everyone else is doing. And so you lose your own spark, inspiration, and creative genius when that happens. Like, there's a reason why people say all the time, like, create before you consume. And I would honestly just say, if you can eliminate consuming altogether, that is going to be the best bang for your buck that you are going to get. So why this often ends up happening, you probably don't have any boundaries with the platform. Okay. And here, this can also play into the fact that you might lack confidence in yourself and how to clearly speak to the results that you provide. Like, there's no doubt in your mind that once somebody shows up and works with you, you can get them incredible results. You probably have so many text receipts, so many messages from current and past clients where it's like, well, like, you really did change my life, and I'm so thankful for you. But when you don't know how to articulate that, it can be easy to fall into that trap of doom scrolling, because it's evident with how many other people are doing it. And you're like, okay, I need to say it this way. I need to say it that way. I need to say it that way, right? It's not. You just really need to learn how to say it your own way in a clear and concise way. Okay. And so here as well, it can doom scrolling. It can be easy to get sucked into the platform thinking that we're using it for inspiration, thinking that we're going to go on there. Okay, what's trending? What's working? Ooh, I like that reel. I like that carousel. And then you quickly, again, start to lose the inspiration because it's what kills your creativity. Because as you're looking at what everyone else is doing, it can be easy to think, they make this look way easier than me. They say this better than I do. I could never put myself out there like that. I don't know how to be that blunt or say that. I don't know how to turn that in my own way and make it more specific. And so you get a lot of this outside noise that actually takes your own voice away because you're giving it away to other people when you give them the power that they're saying it better than you. They're not. They've just found their own. It's their confidence and their conviction that you're likely attracted to and what feels like it's missing from your own right now. And that's just because you haven't found your own voice. And really, with this doom scrolling, without having the boundaries, the platform is likely using you. Like, it's doing exactly what it's meant to. It's got you hook, line, and motherfucking sinker. Okay. Sin number 6 is perfectionism. Okay. And how perfectionism shows up is, number one, there's a couple of things. So you either have a shit ton of ideas, but when it comes down to write them, your mind almost, I'm going to say conveniently, even though it's very inconvenient, making up words as I usually do, inconveniently goes blank. And it's because you probably don't have a way to format your ideas to just allow them to make sense to you, okay? The other way that you water down your messaging is that you're afraid of saying the wrong thing. Like, when you go to write content, it's always focused on, how can I say this the right way? What's the right format for this? What is the right way for me to put this out there? How can I get this right? And the reason why you're so afraid to get it wrong is because you think that getting it right is going to land you a dream client who's ready to buy from you. But like, at the end of the day, I just want you to hear this from me. You will never say the wrong thing for the person who is meant to buy from you, okay? The other way that this shows up, this perfectionism, is feeling a lot like you're blending in, okay? And what ends up happening here is you're afraid of offending people. You're afraid of saying the thing that might be a little bit taboo, where you're like, oh my gosh, like, is my aunt, is my mother-in-law, is my father going to see this and holy fuck, what are they going to think? And so you start to make your content very vanilla, even though you yourself are like a hot chocolate fucking sundae. Like, you were the furthest thing. You were tiger, you were what's the other one? Banana split. That's not bubble gum, right? You are a pop of color and flavor. And that same you is missing from your content. And I promise you, when you bring more of that in, when you start to be the person who's saying what most people are thinking, you will attract dream clients, your ride or dies, who feel like like the perfect for you clients, who feel like you've known them your whole life. That's when you start attracting them to you, okay? And so here, lots of the times why this ends up happening is it's this fear of judgment and your desire to be liked. And I say a lot of the time, like, it's your desire to be liked that's keeping dream clients from buying you, because you sugarcoat, you water down, you don't say the thing you really want to say because you're too afraid of the backlash that you're going to get, the fear, the judgments, and all the worry like that. And like, I get it. It is a scary thing. But like, bitch, rip that motherfucking Band-Aid off, tape off your mouth, because the world needs your magic. They need your medicine. And this came through in a tapping session when we were doing the Block to Book mini mind. And if you don't speak, the world, your clients, do not get your medicine. Okay. Last but not least, we have sin number 7, which is greed. And this is really what you focus on what it is that you can get. You create from the lens of, what do I need to say to get somebody to buy from me? Okay. Instead of saying and thinking, what is it that I need? How can I serve my audience? What do they need to hear from me? And how can I show up in a sense of service? Because service always equals sales. But when we focus on sales first, it really is self serving, and your audience can feel that because there's this underlying energy of, what's in it for me? How can I get somebody to buy? And this is a lot of times where you probably don't even recognize that you're doing this, but this is really a lot of the bro marketing tactics, and very shame based, pain based, and manipulative. I can't say the fucking word. I can hear somebody saying it manipulative. I feel like I'm in third grade and I have to sound out words. Manipulative. It's like miscongeniality. I can never say congeniality before. Anyway, sales tactics that are used. And what ends up happening here is when, and like, don't get me wrong, there is something to be said for connecting to what it is your dream client is experiencing from a pain, a struggle, and an obstacle. There is connection that is made there when through your content, they can read and connect to you and feel like you don't just get what they're going through, you understand it by the way in which you say it. But what we can end up doing, and this is where, like, if you feel like you're calling in a lot of people who you get objection after objection. They come to you every few months. They're like, hi, I'm ready to buy. Okay, I'm not going to do it now. Okay, I'm ready to buy. No, I'm not going to do it. So they're not really committed. Or if you do end up signing them, you feel like you are more committed to their goals than they are. Like, you're constantly following up on them. They're not following through, and they feel almost like an energy vampire of a client. The other thing is where it's people who are really, really focused on, like, what is the price and what is it costing them? And it's like, now isn't the time, or I'll just wait then. Like, again, it's a lot of people who are in almost this victim mentality. And I'm going to say straight up, you attract who you speak to. Okay. So if they are coming to you from a disempowered place, it is because you, likely unintentionally, I'm going to say you probably don't even know that you're doing it, but it is because you are disempowering them with what you were saying in their messaging. And so day seven, no, we are not doing it for that long. Day 3 of the 7 deadly sins to content creation is specifically focused on this, because I can tell you right now, I can read your content, and if you are saying there's phrases and words, and if you are saying them, I can tell you exactly why you're having people that aren't committed, are like lollygagging and not choosing themselves. It's because you're speaking to them in that way. And what this looks like is you're like straight up saying, like, where are you going to, like, I know how hard it is for you. I know that it feels impossible, that, and you even question, like, what's the point? You've tried everything and it doesn't matter what you're going to do. You're never going to get the results that you want to see. You've been doing this year after year. You've tried, I don't know, 27 different things. Again, this is very general. We are going to make this much more specific. But you're all like, even as I hear myself saying that, it feels hopeless, right? You're literally putting them into a space through your content where it feels hopeless, and they're like, yeah, why would I spend the money? I've invested in this coach, I've invested in this program, I've bought this book, I've read the podcast, I've done the journaling, it's not working. And your content is telling them that it is not working. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. You're not showing them a way out. And so this is why I always say, connect to the pain and you sell to the desire. But so much of this bro marketing and this pain-based content is really manipulation content. And I will always say, like, selling to the pain is not leadership, it's manipulation. And so here we are going to finesse, finagle, revamp, refine, revitalize your messaging so that you're only calling in self-led, determined as fuck, committed till the end of time to seeing their results through type of clients, the same ones who are committed to their results. Meaning, like when they say link, please, there's no wondering if they're going to ghost the chat because they've already paid you 20 minutes after you sent them the link. They're ready to fucking go fire type of clients. That right there alone, like this, when I learned this concept, this is what took me from maybe sort of kind of signing clients through my content to literally being able to sign 4-figure clients from one single post. Again, you attract who you speak to. Okay. So, with that all being said, if you are ready to resurrect your engagement, sign clients so that you can go full time in your business, then remember, this is a free 3-day challenge, my 7 deadly sins to content conversions, so that you can say content creation, so that you can say RIP to content that doesn't convert. This 3-day challenge is going to show you the most common mistakes. Again, these are all of the sins, and we are going to talk about how you combat these, how you overcome these inside of these 3 days. And what this is going to allow you to do is fix the common mistakes that you are making in your content and how to fix them so that you can bring your Instagram account back from the day, easily attract dream clients who are ready to buy and not just followers that leave your audience feeling like a graveyard, and finally say goodbye to content that feels like it's falling on deaf ears. Okay. So what we're focusing on in the 3 days, like we said here, all of these things, and I've kind of given you some nuggets already of that, what we're going to dive into further, but it's going to be the 3 things that you need to know about your dream client so you never run out of content ideas, and also so that you attract clients that make you excited to open Voxer on a Monday morning. They feel like they legit could be your best friends forever in life. I'm going to give you the exact content strategy that I use to scale my business to 100K in 8 months, and messaging shifts that make your client addicted to your content and glued to your story so that they are like counting down the days till they can work with you, right? So, with that being said, whoever said trick-or-treating was just for kids was a goddamn lie. Because get ready, because it's time to trick-or-treat and get you clients on repeat when you join the 7 deadly sins to content creation free challenge. Say that 7 times in a row because I definitely would not be able to do that. So if you're like, oh my gosh, yes, so much of these are me, or if you feel like you fluctuate through different iterations of this, we're not doing that. We're not playing that game anymore. So the link to join will be in the show notes below. We start on October 29th, and I can't wait to see your badass there. Thank you again so much for tuning in, and we will see you all next week. Bye, everyone.